Hello, love bugs. When ranching first came to Palia, I was the first one to say that this was going to be my absolute new addiction, that I was going to be obsessed with breeding all of the different traits into the different animals and figuring everything out. And even me, someone who once bred over 500 Charmanders to get herself a shiny in Pokemon X, who still has that game saved in a container in her room because she will never get rid of that shiny Charmander, has found that breeding isn't as exciting and ranching isn't as exciting as I want it to be. Now, the good news is that I think the Palia team really set up breeding and ranching in general to be something that has the capability of truly growing and advancing and changing. I think the foundation that they set for us is incredible. But the problem is that this is some really nice, maybe like Neapolitan ice cream, but your girl wants her sprinkles. Your girl wants some whipped cream. Your girl wants some cherries, maybe some caramel sauce. So let me give you 10 things that I think that the Palia team should add to ranching in Palia in order to make it feel like something that players are really going to love. Number 1, trophies. As you can see, if you look in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, I am already level 34 in ranching. Okay, look, I do really like ranching. I really like breeding animals and trying to figure out different traits and find different ones and look at different combinations. I am really into it. So obviously I have been doing it a lot, but I haven't gotten any trophies. Every other skill that we have in the game at level, usually I think it's 10, 25, and 50, give you a trophy for getting that level in that skill. I am now at level 35 in ranching and have still, or level 34, excuse me, in ranching and still have not gotten a trophy. They need to add trophies. And I think trophies are more important than just being something for ranching. I think that they are also important because as something to unlock, it would encourage players who maybe have stayed away from ranching because they didn't think it would be for them to try it out and maybe end up liking it while they unlock their trophies along the way and find some cool things about it that they like, especially if we get this little revamp. And this also brings me to number 2, which is that we need an upgraded guild store. The truth is this guild store is just not it. I almost never have to buy any of these cookies. Every once in a while, I buy a couple of trait treats. That's about it. I am level 34 and I have 900 ranching medals because I'm just flat out not using them. I just very rarely need to buy any of these cookies because I'm going through so many animals anyway. I am getting all of them. Either they need to put better cookies in here or unique cookies that we can't get in the bags that are very special that we use our maybe high amounts of our guild ranching medals for, or they need to add in furniture, which is also, I think, something that we need. Every other guild store has some sort of really rare, really cool, highly designed piece of furniture or item that we can get from the store that kind of has to do with that particular skill. Ranching doesn't. Why? I would like to see at least 3 really unique decorative pieces. And this also brings me to number 3, a wandering animal design. So hear me out. I understand that the team designed things in this way so that we could do more with ranching than ever. But a lot of players, you okay there, Gummy Jay? A lot of players have really been bummed about not getting to see different animals on their actual plots. I think that we should find an answer for that. And that is by creating kind of, if the game treated it like an animatronic instead of a live creature of the different animals that we could place on our plots. Now, it'd be great if they could walk like this a little bit back and forth, but I would also be okay with them just standing there and doing kind of the chewing motion. And then let's say maybe when you come up to them, there's a pet me option where you can pet the animal and it will sit like that, all standing within the same place, just like an animatronic. And the idea for the lore would be that your animal had wandered onto your regular plot, but that you had to come and take them back to the ranch or see them on the ranch in order to actually care for them because they were just kind of grazing. I think this could be a really cool alternative to the animals being on our plot. And then people could build and get to design the ranches of their dreams with actual animals standing out in the fields. Now, I know without them walking around, it wouldn't be exactly the same as they are on the ranch, but it, you know, it would be better than what we have now. So anyway, that's my suggestion. And I think what they should do is put each of the animals in here. And when you purchase one from the guild store with your guild coins, you get a random color combination that is always just random. I know that that's a lot to code. That's a lot to make, but the designs already exist. And you're really just making it as a static thing that has an option to pet where they sit down when you walk up to them. And that, I really think it's something feasible to ask of the team, even though I do understand it would be a big undertaking. And speaking of the cookies, number 4, we need a rework of our cookie system. I mean, come on, look at this. There are so many biscuits and cookies that I barely ever even use. I have hundreds of them in my inventory and just don't use them. I mean, it's craziness. We need something else to do with some of these cookies, and the cookies just in general need a rework. Happiness doesn't seem to be as important to the animals to be needing to be feeding them cookies to keep up their happiness. I just don't see the value in most of these different cookies. And then the ones that I do see value in are the ones that maybe I don't get enough of. What if we could maybe trade some cookies in to get ones that we want? I'm not exactly positive what the solution is here, but I definitely know it's not giving us all of these cookies for things that we just don't need, and then keeping traits so incredibly confusing and unintuitive. That whole thing needs a rework, but I'll get there. Another thing that we need just in general with ranching, number 5, is going to be better rewards. As of right now, when I walk around and see all my animals all day, I mean, yeah, sure, it's great to get some flowers. It's nice to get some of these mushrooms and some milk. I'd say the flowers are the ones that feel probably the most valuable that you can get from the snapdragons. But none of these items come even close to how much I have to spend to feed all these animals, to how much I have to spend to buy them initially, if I need to buy them initially. It is so much money to get all of the animals, it feels, and to get the traits that you want, to then only be getting some milk and some eggs. We need better rewards from our animals in general to make ranching feel worth it, to make us money in the game. So for number 6, what I would recommend is have the animals, when they give us our daily items, have a random rare chance of dropping something really cool. Now, in some ways, Gumball, my goodness, everyone's booties today. I've had a lot of players suggest getting to get us plushies from our animals. How cool would it be a chance that it would give us a random plushie, or particularly a plushie that cosmetically looks like it? Now, I know that that is probably a very complicated thing for the team to create every single combination of every single animal possibly on a plushie. Like I do get that might be an unrealistic thing to ask for. But what if it gave us an Ormu an Ormu plushie that's kind of similar to the Ormus that we can get from Zeki coins, but maybe a little bit different, maybe an adult version instead of like a baby version? And then we can also dye it like we can dye the Ormu plushies that we currently have. And then the same thing with the trufflets. Maybe we get a chance at a trufflet, but we can also change their color like we can with those Ormus, and just make it really, really rare that one of those plushies drops. I think that'd be pretty cool. The other thing would be a furniture set. Have us ranch to get really cool barn-like and ranching items that we could use on our plot, that randomly drop from the different animals that we're doing. I would personally be really, really excited about that. Going back to better rewards and that conversation about value. For number 7, I want to talk about processing machines. I think that's something that we desperately need, and that any actual rancher would use, are ways to process our milk and process our eggs. Obviously, maybe not the flowers or the mushrooms so much, but we need to be able to turn these items that we get from our animals into much more valuable items. So milk into cheese or into butter, and maybe even like eggs into mayonnaise or something like that, but some sort of processor that we would essentially be selling. And in order to make it more valuable, maybe it doesn't turn it into like the regular butter that we use for our recipes, but maybe it turns it into farm fresh butter, and it's a fancier one that uses fancier, that we can use for fancy recipes or something. Maybe you need to get that specific kind of butter to make things. I just think that not having processes and ways to use the items that we're getting from our animals, besides just either baking with them or selling them directly to Zeki, is just kind of a mess. Like, we should have another step that we can do in order to make more money, just like we do with gardening, just like we do with fishing, just like we do with our other skills. Now let's talk traits. Traits are quite confusing. I'm going to be right there with all of you and agree with that. How to get the different traits, how to keep those traits, what traits to breed in order to get unique traits. I think cosmetics are pretty straightforward, but everything else is a little bit confusing and has only been figured out by players literally just randomly mixing things together and tracking it in a folder. And that is just not ideal, I don't think, for how we discover these traits. I do appreciate a little bit of mystery in the beginning, but I feel like we're past that now. And a lot of us who have been doing this a lot are still confused as to how to get the exact traits that we want on our animals and discover all of those traits. That being said, I also think that the traits don't feel particularly exciting. While I do want to use my animals to make money, so I'm kind of leaning more into traits that make me have to feed them less and make them produce faster or more. Really, most players have become just cosmetic hunters who are only looking for cool cosmetic things to show off cool designs of their animals. And you know what? I totally and completely get that. I think the way that we get people excited about actually getting unique traits on our animals is by creating rare legendary traits that we can earn on them and then breed through them that give them a cosmetic trait that's rare as well as a high-end regular trait. So for example, by breeding like 2 legendary, really good traits together, like let's say, for example, what do I have on my trufflets? Give me one sec. I have double legendary quick 5, which produces items extremely quickly, and well love, which gains significantly more happiness from care, which decays significantly slower. Wouldn't it be cool if by having both of these traits on here, you also get a cool animation or cosmetic that appears on your animal for having both of these legendary traits? Like, let's say, for example, because it's quick and well loved, maybe it's a different kind of heart thing, or maybe they get a heart on their nose or something like that because you have multiple legendary traits on that particular animal. That way, when you're walking around with your cute little animal that you got, you're showing off the cool traits that you put in them as well as cosmetic traits. Because right now, people are only focused on making them look cute, which is fine. But if I walked around with some of these ones that don't look like they have much on them, they might have really cool legendary traits, but no one would have any way of knowing that. So I don't know. Another kind of idea that I'm just going to drop that has to do with that. I also had an idea of like a collar or something that changes once the animal reaches legendary status. So if you look at your animals, they right here will tell you kind of what rare they're at. So for example, my Aemon Targaryen is rated as a rare animal. Barney is rated as a epic animal. So and then this experiment trufflet that I've been working with is actually rated as legendary. So I would say, since they have that rating, could they have some sort of collar or something that updates on them to show that they're legendary? So when you show off your really cool Ormu that has like all of these cool colors and prints and things, its collar or something also indicates that it's a legendary animal. So just another suggestion to make it more exciting to breed in those legendary traits and show them off to your friends. A lot of players have expressed that they are particularly bummed about venerated animals and the fact that there's no real reward for getting your character all the way up to venerated and then letting them go. Now, obviously, there are some rewards in the way of trait treats, but the trait treats, even the legendary ones, aren't that exciting. I mean, Immaculate Confection and Divine Donut, they do feel special, but are they special enough for all that work? I don't know. I guess that's kind of up to you and how you play the game. I think that we should give something extra special for venerated animals. One of the main things would be giving a guaranteed kind of item. Now, I talked about giving furniture items from our daily grabs with animals. I'm also would be down for the idea that venerated animals, when you get rid of them, give you a random roll and chance of getting a furniture item, or maybe a guaranteed roll of getting a furniture item, or another item in the game that when they leave you behind, they give you something else in the game, a plushie or something like that. The other idea that I've had that I talked about on my stream the other day is a photo. Now, this would be a big thing for them to build in the game, I understand, but it would be very cool for ranching. And we've asked for a frame of some kind that we can put a photo in, like we have in Disney Dreamlight Valley in Palia for a long time, where we could take one of the photos from our photo book and actually put it into a frame. Now, this is kind of the perfect time to be able to do that. So maybe when an animal becomes venerated, it gives you one of those frames that you can put on your plot and insert one of the photos from your camera into that frame. And the idea is that you could take a picture with your venerated animal and then insert it in there, but you could use the frame honestly for whatever photos that you want, which would be super cool. Last for this video, but certainly not last in my brain, and definitely not least, we need to be able to customize the farm. I understand that we're not going to be able to decorate this like we can decorate our houses. This area takes up so much memory in the game already. The fact that they've added multiplayer stuff on it, it's just such a large area. I get it. They're not going to be able to let us put like 3,000 flowers out here, but at least giving us some sort of customization options. Let us put wallpapers and things on the barn. Let us change out a couple of items into different skins. Maybe change out this lamp to different lamps, or change out this fence to different fences. Maybe it's a different kind of decorating mode instead of like our typical one where we literally go into a top-down mode and then just swap out for different styles. But at least give us a little bit of ownership as to what our farms look like, because right now we have none whatsoever. It is a beautiful space. I do think that it's really cool. I like the area that they designed. But come on, we all want to decorate on the farms. Give us some sort of ranching decor. Or at the very least, my idea about giving us mechanical versions of the animals so we can put them on our plots and design a ranch how we really wanted to design a ranch, and how a lot of us were prepping for before this update. I really think that it would be a cool thing to do for players who mostly do Palia for decorating, because that is pretty much the end game of this game. Please drop more ideas down in the comments. Let the team know what it is that you're looking for. They are constantly looking for our opinions, constantly looking for things to change and update, and then weighing which ones they can actually make happen. This is player feedback is a huge part about how this game has grown. I have an entire video on my page. If you haven't seen it, it's probably my favorite one that I ever made. That is completely just about different ideas in the game and how they came to exist purely because of players. That they were never intended to be in the game, or weren't intended to be in the game that way. And that changed just because players asked for it. So ask in the comments. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.